there is a point within all of our lives where we come to a kind of like a gateway where you can either go through the gate and kind of expand yourself and understand more spiritual about who you are, or you can kind of keep the gate closed and go, okay, I'm going to stay where I'm at and just kind of live life simply. So I've invited my good friend Robin Timso on today to share a bit about the journey of spirituality because he's been on it for
Yeah,
quite a number of years, right, Robin?
absolutely.
And
It's
also,
never ending
simplifying
too.
it.
That's the beauty of it all.
Absolutely right. So let's talk about that pivotal point where, because I know for myself, I came in 38, I went to massage therapy school, and then I really started opening up to there's more than just what I'm seeing in my eyes. There's more that I'm feeling in my body. And what is this all about? And I know for yourself, you came into this spiritual work and spirituality quite a few decades before that, correct?
Yeah, I was born one of these people that actually started searching very, very early in life. Whoops, lost you. Um, hopefully we can get you back. What happened? Oh, sorry,
That's
Teresa.
okay. No worries.
There we go.
There we go.
Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a woman that we were associated with through Tiger Cole and even Tom, and she was the registrar at a course one day when I was in Florida, and we'd never met before, and she said, "Oh, you're one of the Rainbow Kids." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Back then, I was sort of aware of these different generations of souls incarnating back. And she said to me, "Yeah, you're a rainbow child. What year were you born?" And she told me that in the late 50s, the soul started incarnating back to to what I discovered was to help change the course of injustice on the planet. And that just rang so true to me. Injustice was really what I grew up with. I mean, I grew up in Australia with in my case, I had a lot of prejudice attacked at me when I was a little kid going to school. And, the modern day bully that is often, shows up, the bullies. And I realized very early that injustices were prevailing and that people were quite mean, which wasn't sort of comfortable with my normal lifestyle. So yeah, so and then she was telling me that the Beatles were the opening of that energy on the planet, and so it's sort of like all this ideas came to me, and I actually treated George Harrison. Oh, now probably over 25 years ago when he was here on the Gold Coast as an acupuncturist. I've been practicing now for 44 years, and I had an opportunity to treat George Harrison, and when I was taking his pulses, I was like, my gosh, where's this man traveled and how much has he been connected to other souls on the planet just through his music? And so, to cut a long story short, it's all about what I know in my heart was what I was destined to do all along was to follow this unique and different pathway of spirituality. Um, and I even became a registered acupuncturist at the age of 21, and my membership number in Australia is number 49.
Oh,
So
wow.
back then, back then, I didn't realize we were early influencers like on YouTube right now. But yeah, I must have been an influencer at the age of 21, setting up practice and diving into this idea of health and healing and you know preventative medicine. And the question always came about for me was to understand, do we really create our own illnesses and is that possible to heal ourselves? And that's always been something that's driven me for the last 44 years of self-awareness and spirituality and searching and study. and listening to what my spirit told me in a lot of cases, because it's not necessarily documented, this other world called the sixth sense, but we have personal experiences. Every one of us have personal experience of this, and I was able to refine that through different training and courses that I've worked with, people that have come onto your program and so forth. I'm aware of, yeah.
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Robin, because, when you're talking about coming in, these groups of souls that have come in to do different things and open up and expand and help humanity in different ways. And
Mm,
I know of a recent soul that just arrived in May, and this soul came in and it was so sick for the first couple days, it literally almost died. And now he's thriving. But as soon as I heard the story, I was like, wow, this soul came. There's I mean, it could have exited, it could have stayed, but there's something that this soul is here to do. And so I think back, and also to other souls that have come in and had traumatic things going on right at the beginning.
mm,
Like my first impression was it was something from a past incarnation that really was stimulated by this birth, and then it got past it and wanted to stay. So I think it's
mm.
fascinating to really just contemplate all that we bring into these lives and the timing that we're all here, as you're saying, the generational components
Yeah.
of when we're coming in.
Well, at the same token, I've always debated in my mind, why does a little one get, cancer, or, like in the pediatric wards, why do these little guys get sick? What's going on here?
Mhm.
And some facets of it that we could look at: their initial diet, their upbringing, but there's got to be some other influence in my mind. And as you said, it's probably to do with what they came in with this life to clarify early, and they either recovered or they decide, I'm out of here. They
Mhm.
don't choose to stay. And it makes it a lot easier when you understand that, because I've had a lot of clients throughout the years have had miscarriages that were really, really struggling with this idea that their young unborn child even had passed
Mhm.
away, or had left before they came in. And it really, when you understand a little bit more about the spirituality of things, it makes life so much more simpler. And really, that's what I'm going to talk about: how how the proverbial saying KISS, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, is really what I have learned
Mhm.
after all these years of working with clients and patients,
Mhm.
and disease, and even my own journey of stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. Now, I'll just say a little bit about it right now. We might come back to it, but in my early 60s, I'm 68 right now. And in my early 60s, coming up to 63 years of age, which is the cycle shift, I was really quite, I wouldn't say that I was enthusiastic with life in the same way that I have recovered on that area. I was, to some degree, bored with the way life was, and I'd clarified a lot of answers to myself. Anyway, 3 weeks before I turned 63, I got diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. I'm sitting in the hospital thinking, staring at the ceiling, thinking, what the hell did I do that to myself? And I finally got to the clarity that I had an opportunity to depart and finish my life on planet Earth, or hang in there and move through this next stage called 63 and onwards, where it's the cycle of inner peace and contentment, and doing your greatest work. And I've always aspired towards my life work. And so I made the choice, a conscious decision. Sooner or later, we're all going to go. I just choose later, not sooner. And that was in the hospital room. And I actually then started to proceed to recover from stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer, which is terminal, by the way. And it
Yeah,
took 4
there's only
years.
4 stages, right? Or is there 5 for
No,
cancers?
no,
4
there's
is
no,
like,
there's only 4 stages.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I chose to not follow the statistics. I did choose immunotherapy, which I believe is the better choice of the two, chemo or immuno at the time. And so I was given the opportunity of immuno as the first step. So I supported that idea. Did 2 years of that, reduced the tumor, did a lot of other things to support my body and my immune system through the process. And after 2 years in Australia, they finished that program. It was like, that's it, it's over. You don't do anything anymore. So at that stage, I'd only reduced the tumor about 30%, but I was stable. I hadn't gone any worse the whole time. And then I had to proceed into finding ways of actually digging deeper. And that's really where I think the changes came from conventional medicine and everything. And I have to tell you, it was all to do with the simplicity of nature and understanding how your human body works from a natural point of view. And so consistently I came back to that natural place and simplicity, and now to me there's no choice. I have to keep my life simple. I can't make it complex. I can't get too busy. I only work clinic in the mornings. I don't work really in the afternoons. I do cancer coaching anywhere on the planet, so that's when I probably find myself working at the hours of like 6 o'clock in the morning because of people in the US. But that's okay. We're usually up at 5 anyway. And so it's a different energy to be talking to people and helping them at that stage. But and then I'm back in clinic for a little while, and then the afternoon's mine. And so I've found a good balance in my work life, personal life. I think that's the main thing that's changed for me, and the desire to understand that we can heal ourselves. That desire has changed now to help other people see that, because I finally found the answer, and that answer came through my own experience. My number one patient showed up, and that was me, and
Right.
I had to do the work and trust my intuition and trust each step along the way, and tune into my higher self, my guidance, to get a guideline on what I needed to do. And that's what I do now with coaching people. And I know you do the same with supporting people to help them help themselves and set themselves free from their own indoctrinations and or belief systems. Sometimes our own stubbornness gets in the way, which is just, we complicate life for no reason. And again, I'm saying we've got to keep it simple. Really come back to that simplicity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And especially in a world where things are so complex on all realms, right? Like the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And especially speaking about the spiritual, because there's so many people out there that make it more intellectual than feeling. And so
Yeah.
as you know, Robin, like, it starts with the feel and then the think and then the act. And it's like, a beautiful way of moving forth versus all the intellectual knowledge and the books and the this and the that. And because
Yeah.
I know, like, about a year and a half, well, maybe before 2024, I got to a point where I stopped interviewing people because I just I couldn't resonate. I wasn't resonating with the people who were coming on my podcast. It was all intellectual, and it was like what, like what we share, but it was at a whole different intellectual level. And I'm like, I'm done interviewing. So I don't really do
Yeah.
interviews that much anymore because it's just of that point. And I have people come at me. So I just really appreciate the fact that you're talking about the simplicity of it and how that really was a focus of your healing. So I want to ask you, as you've obviously worked with a lot of people and supported them healing through acupuncture and different things through the years in that sense.
Yeah.
Was there something that surprised you when you went through your healing experience that you're like, whoa, this really surprised me?
Spiritual growth is not a race. It's a gradual progression. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day working on it in order to feel more inner peace, deeper connection to your soul purpose, and feeling more confident in your daily life. The journey is all about balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. These two worlds are supportive for embracing the foundations of the real you. By just investing minutes a day for your spiritual part as you would invest in your house or other areas of your life. To gather more direction, clarity, and a new layer of inner awareness, check out the ebook set created by the Wayshowers College. Link and discount code in show notes.
It's difficult to define that, to tell you the truth, because each stage of healing has its own unique parameters. And I mean, I think the one thing that comes to me right now is the resolution of suppressed emotion. And during a fast on day 9, I woke up and I opened my eyes. I was in my normal room and I was looking around as though I was in the hospital the night of my diagnosis, looking at the sunrise. It was the drapes and the walls were colored red, and there was red, orange drapes, and it was just like I'm there right now, and I'm looking around. I'm catching myself looking. Oh, I'm in my house, my room, and the emotion of feeling lost came to the surface to the degree where it actually then started to just become a memory. You see? So my thing is about healing comes with open feelings. And a day 9 of a fast, that released itself. It came to the surface. And then I knew that I was on a healing pathway that was deeper than just immunotherapy. It was deeper than dietary changes. It was deeper, much, much deeper. And that's when I knew that I needed to go and allow that process to open up more and more for me. And so that was very personal. Nobody knew that experience because I was the only one in that hospital room that morning. And yeah, it released itself. I didn't really shed tears that morning when I woke up day 9 of my fast, but I felt the emotion leave. It was like the energy in my cells suddenly started to dissipate and it became a memory. I always say the emotion became a memory at that point in time. It's just a memory. Like I fell off my push bike when I was, a kid riding along. It just becomes a memory after a while. Just recently, a little dog ran out and got hit by a car just in front of me. And that stimulated my memory of when I was young and how my little dog got hit by a car. Now, I have to say today, right now, I'm dealing with that emotion, but I don't have any issues around just blocking it out. It's actually a point of where I know it needs to be resolved rather than me carry that any further. It just got triggered. It got triggered that event again. And so that's where I've become now. I'm much more. I would say that I'm a lot softer. I mean, I think I used to be quite hard, but that hardness was only self-protection based on my sensitivity as a sensory type personality. So I'm learning and I don't respond in the same way anymore. I'm too gentle. I find myself too gentle. I'm saying I'm too gentle now. I'm not, and I'm oversensitive sometimes. But I'm really enjoying that personality because it's the real me finally coming back. That first childhood upbringing, the first 7 years of our life when we were all feeling and so forth. And so, you know, yeah, it's quite simplistic. There we are, simplistic again. Yeah, returning to that part of my true childlike self, my inner sensitivity, and then being mindful of that this world hasn't changed that quickly. It's still quite dog eat dog and competitive, and everybody's in survival, and everything's about figures and income and growth. It's all just an illusion to keep us distracted from being our true self, in my mind. Now it really is an illusion, and the more that we can actually turn against that illusion and say, no, I'm going to just listen to my inner self and trust, then the more I trust that, then the next steps will open up, and then we'll follow a pathway that leads us through that, and that we can all live that life of heaven on earth finally that we've been all striving for. That your listeners would be those type of people that they have this idea of there's got to be more, and there's a spirituality. Even TNT Spirit Works, it's all about spirit and being true to yourself and understanding the dynamics of being a soul with a physical body, with a family and loved ones and a society that we live in. So yeah, it's finally coming home to me, and I had to go through that major lesson, really. And I say that now, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it returned me back to a place where I don't choose anything beyond myself. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen aggressive people come at me for no reason. I've got out of my car and just going for a beach walk in this place of just being, and somebody's parking in front of me and they're yelling and carrying on. It's like, I just sort of look at them and go and walk away. It's like, it's crazy the way the world's become, and people are living on the edge all the time. They're like a fuse ready to go off, and then they have to go through life experiences to stimulate them to make changes, because at the end of the day, we all know that we need to make change, but do we actually do it because of fear and ego and competition? I'll look like a loser if I don't work hard every night, every day, and on it goes. It's just such a huge distraction, and when we can actually become aware of this destructive personalities and behaviors, then we really make our life a lot more simple. We start to see it. I don't want to be a recluse. That's the problem. When I see my life as being more simple, um, being individual and understanding my own time and space is really, really comfortable. But it's very dangerous. And I remember doing a camp with in Iowa once, and I was talking to all the people there, and every person in the room lived in their own separate little abodes. And I said, that's where the problem lies. Is that we can be with our friends and family at a retreat, but then when you go home, we're all in our little separate worlds, and that's where a big part of the problem starts to stem, because isolation is not necessarily what we're meant to be as
Yeah.
souls. We're meant to be tribal. We're meant to have elders that look after and train the young ones. We're meant to nurture each other and act as a tribe, not as individuals and separate and competing against each other just for whatever it is that we're striving for. So yeah, I would actually say, for folks that are listening, really become aware of your competitive personality, because it's going to get you into trouble eventually. Was I competitive? No, I often say that I never really was a competitive person. I saw that very young. But how I turned my competition was around for myself. I turned it internally, you know?
Mm.
And in my early days, it was about being successful as a practitioner. In my early days, I then transferred that to patients that were not well and they were challenging. I called it challenging, you know? And to some degree, that responsibility was training me, and I was learning a lot. And so everything that you've done in relationship to life and life experiences is okay. But there's got to be a point where it's not necessarily good anymore. And I know that that energy's changed now on the planet personally. I believe personally it's changed. The time has come for souls to return back to that true self. We've gone through the gamut on the parameters of the masculine polarity and the feminine polarity. And we've learned as a human, as a race, human beings, that that's enough. And that's where I would say AI is not a bad thing, because AI can be the brain that can keep going, and then we can just be a lot more balanced utilizing those resources. That's how I look at it anyway. So I don't have to think too much about researching with a patient. They'll come in with their medical reports and everything, and I don't have to do much. I just take pictures of it, I put it in ChatGPT, and I ask it to analyze it for me, and then we go through the analytical process, and it does it all. I don't have to even, that's work that I don't really have to get involved in, and I like that idea. So I utilize it to support my simple life. There we go again. I like it, making it simple. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking on a lot now.
No, it's all good. So, I guess for myself, it's interesting because lately I've really been in awe of where people are at and the experience they're having. So as I listen to you talk about, the challenge you went through with the cancer and how you've come out the other side and you decided to stay, and then you decided how, you wanted to live life more simpler and also be in a different space as you're interacting with your clients and other people around the world and in our daily lives. Right. So,
Yes.
but I'm just filled with awe. And I mean, lately I've just been in this place where it feels so good just to honor like everybody and where they're at. Where before, Robin, I mean, I don't know if you're like this, but I would judge people, or I would be like, what the hell? Or why are they like this? Or, why are they not coming along? And now I'm like, hey, it's, everyone's where they're at. And so it's refreshing to hear you say what you're saying, because without, thank goodness I have not had to go through that. I've been through other, things in my life,
Mm.
but so far, no cancer, but just recognizing, I feel in my soul that if I'm able to understand this and to stay relaxed and to stay open and accessible to spirit and what I'm here to do, the next steps, that will enable me to, like you're saying, like to be more softer as I move through the world and
Yeah.
yet be also, in the world. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
We'll go back to cancer, because it is a hot topic for me as a cancer coach now. And the first session I do with anybody that comes to me for help,
Mhm.
I say, let's talk about why you've created this, because we first of all got to take 150% responsibility
Mhm.
of our life and everything we've done. And then I also ask, do you realize that you've set up an exit plan through cancer? And cancer to me now is just an exit plan.
Mhm.
So we've got to turn that around, because subconsciously, consciously, some people are really tired of the game of life. It's become a burden. It's hard to compete forever. It's hard to carry you know, that banner, you know, without, to some degree, getting tired of it, because it's not the natural state of all of us. Our natural state is to come from simplicity, to live a life that is based on how nature operates, to live a life based on the sun comes up and you wake up, and the sun goes down and you go to sleep. The circadian rhythm. It's just a natural cycle. And so, yeah, what I say to everybody, that anybody that's going through experience, or somebody's going through experiences of cancer, and first of all, without a doubt, start to address your exit plan that you've set up. Because if you don't do that on some level, all the chemo, all the radiation, all the immunotherapy, even the natural methods that are available will probably keep it at bay, but will it ever get rid of it? And I've got patients that are actually struggling to get rid of it altogether. They're in limbo.
As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture, and knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soulquake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon Worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
And when I hear that, I go, okay, this is perfect for what I do, is to help them live and get back onto living, whatever that is, and having a sense of purpose. And the basis of it all, a lot of them have trouble with a sense of purpose. Doesn't matter what age they're at, they really are just living life based on going to work and making money and thinking that that's what it's all about. And then on the weekends they go fishing or whatever, and then they go back to it again. Like like a carrot being led by a donkey being led by a carrot continually.
Mhm.
And so you got to stop all that. You got to get out of that rut. You got to get back to the basics and start to look at things from a simple point of view. And then, as you said, be guided to this sense of divine connection, this sense of purpose. You know, I have to say that cancer coaching is one of my greatest sense of this desire to be of service to people, because it's such a scary thing. And I've got a PhD in cancer recovery now, so I feel like I'm qualified at least. Now,
Right.
there was oncologists and doctors and even naturopaths and even acupuncturists that talked to me about the cancer, and they gave me guidelines. But I never said to them, "Have you had cancer?" Because I don't believe that anybody can give guidance to anybody if they haven't experienced it. And I say that now with confidence, because every step of the way can be different to each individual.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's like, be mindful of their great resources, which is the intellect again, their theory, their abilities to actually study and recall information. But if they haven't experienced it, they're only really just sprouting theory and statistic.
Right.
And that's everybody, that even in the natural health fields, it is that. So number one rule, yeah, find a pathway to get back on the path of living, not the path of dying, and find somebody to give you guidance to get through your cancer journey, who has gone through it themselves. It's like, yeah, I didn't get so far I've got a gold medal. I could be dethroned. I'm doing a PET scan, which is my 12-month, and I feel really good. So I think I'm
Mhm.
doing good. But cancer is something that can prevail at any given moment throughout the rest of my life. I just have to live a life of discipline and a life that actually supports not going down that journey anymore.
Mhm.
That's the main thing. That's because there's no such thing as a cure. It doesn't exist, because it can happen at any given time.
Right.
Again, through life, lifestyle, thoughts, emotions, patterns, or whatever. Just like the little dog that got run over the other day, I am doing work right now to release it, because it cut deep. It definitely cut deep to watch it happen. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a challenge that a lot of people have, is going there. I mean, really going there.
yeah.
I mean,
It,
so
it, as a way of life, you know.
absolutely. Yeah, it's not like just a one-off, right?
Absolutely.
Like living this every day is part of the path. And I think,
Yeah,
the listeners out there, I mean, most of them will get it, because that's why they listen, because they understand the importance
yeah.
of recognizing, who you are, who that unseen part of you is, the soul essence, how to work with spirit, how to work with your spiritual helpers, and
Yes,
simplifying life to a degree where you're like, this is a game. This is a
yes.
game, and how do I play this part of my game?
Yeah, back in 2015, I wrote a little article for my website, and it was understanding the AAA. And Americans actually gave me the idea of AAA: awareness, awake, and awaken, with the three A's. And awareness came from my own observations and training. I became much more awake to the game of planet Earth. And then I realized that it was my responsibility to help awaken others, which I know you're doing the same, which is really, through everything. So, if we're leading by some sort of example and somebody gets something out of it, then, and they wake up a little bit, then really that's all we can do, you know? And so, um, even talking to people that I've said, do you want to live or want to go? And they said, no, I want to live. And I can hear it in their voice. They're not committed to living. It's because they're afraid of dying, would you believe? Or their family and loved ones would grieve too much. I can't die because I know it would hurt them so much. But are they living for themselves? I have a daughter that I love, and I'll say probably more than myself, and and I often would say that the fine line for me would be to actually be challenged in the idea that was my life or hers, um, but at the end of the day, I've always given therapy that if there's only one parachute and you've got to take it, what are you going to do? It's like, what will you do if you're in a plane and you've got one parachute and yourself and Tom are the only people and there's only one parachute? It's like, and the pilot dies. It's like, what the hell,
Hold on to each other real tight and go.
There's a lot of truth in that. That's the best
Mhm,
solution, a win-win,
mhm, mhm,
And so finding a win-win is the key to it all in my mind.
mhm,
Yeah. So, mine was to commit to becoming a cancer coach because I really wasn't sure if I was cut out for it. But now I've done a number of clients this year, mostly prostate cancer, and one of the guys is doing good. He's got a 0 PSA, which is the signs of cancer in the prostate. And when he had the procedure 2 years ago, his PSA was still at a level, even though he had the procedure. Now it's negligible, it doesn't even show up.
oh,
So he's living much more in a place of maintenance,
mhm,
And so right now he's not even doing scans because they say the PSA is 0. So why would we do a scan? There's no obvious signs of cancer, you know. Um, he's really a great client because he's easily coachable. Because it's challenging. It really is challenging to make some changes from your lifestyle.
right.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Meeting people where they're at.
Comfy zones are definitely, yeah, they're challenging.
But it
And our
seems like,
likes and
yeah,
dislikes, we talk about, I
right.
know, you guys talk about likes and dislikes. Our likes and dislikes and expectations are really key in the whole process because cancer doesn't have a likes and dislikes. It just discerns, it just acts according to itself, it doesn't have a brain as such. If I like
Mhm.
you, I'm gonna not kill you, or it's just striving to do what it needs to do
Mhm,
now that
mhm.
it's developed in the human body.
Right.
And we've got cancer cells in our body at any given time,
Mhm,
and our immune system usually takes care of it. That's the key of it all. And so all we got to do is support our immune system in the most
mhm,
simplest, cleanest way that we know
mhm.
works for us. Yeah. See how it becomes really not a complex issue anyway. But the cancer industry is very, very complex, and they make it very complex, and they make it very confusing because they've become confused about it in my mind. I don't think they go out deliberately to hurt people. Um, I think they've just made it very complex and confusing that then now they come across that way. Oncologists are really the worst people to talk to in my mind. I have trouble talking to them because they don't put 1 + 1 = 2 together. And they always talk in a way that they have to cover themselves from saying something that is not necessarily, um, it can have recourse. They can
Mhm.
be sued in America. A lot of doctors get sued,
Mhm.
because they said the wrong thing at the wrong time and they didn't say it in the right way that covered their back. And so that's that complexity that I said that exists out there, and people are just walking on eggshells every day of their life to try and get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if they're not awake to another option, like, the spiritual side or alternative healings, and then it's just that way. And I look at people too and go, everyone has got a path. So what works for you,
Mm,
Robin, may not work for someone else and works for them. But I think that's the exciting part about this conversation is that there are other options, and knowing that simplicity that people can bring into their life, whether it's for a healing capacity or whether it's for something else they're doing that they want to just shift things to a different degree, where maybe now they're more relaxed and they're really enjoying life and they have more enthusiasm, is an
mm.
exciting aspect. Whether you are a brand new or returning fan of this podcast, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening to the episodes that we create every single week. If you would love to support us by continually creating great content every week, please consider liking, subscribing, and supporting us monthly. You can find the buttons below to do all the above. Cheers to you and moving into our 6th year of sharing through podcasting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I've always said, but they talk about, how the negative side of society and big pharma and medication and everything. And I've never ever really agreed with it. I mean, I've met doctors and oncologists, and they're just human beings like you and me. They're genuine human beings
Mhm.
that are trained in a way that is their training. You
Mhm.
know, um, I think they're sometimes misled based on their indoctrination, um, and I find it difficult that they can't think outside their own indoctrination. They're
Yeah.
not allowed to, or they don't have a capacity to think laterally. You know. And that's the part that I find really interesting about some people. They just can't fathom the possibility that you have a dream and it could be telling you something. It's like, no, that's just nothing. I
Mhm.
just had a dream. What are you
Or
talking
like a
about?
feeling in your body, right? Like I was with someone the other day who's like you and I,
Absolutely.
who understands a lot of stuff. And she's like, my hamstring's really been bothering me. She goes, what is this telling me spiritually? And she was like diving into it a bit, right? So
Yeah.
everything, you can find an answer for all kinds of things within us and our bodies and our realms. And it's just listening, trusting, surrendering to there's more than just what's in a book and what people are telling me at the doctor's office.
Yeah, I mean, you're now stimulating my love, and my passion is to find that needle in the haystack when a patient comes
Mhm.
in and they've got a lower back problem, and I talk about the history, and then I take pulses, and I find out that they're not listening to what they need to do, and they're following all their wants, and they're caught up in survival, and go, well, there it is, you've got a lot of tension in your lower back, and that's why you've got back pain.
Mhm.
And so that's just understanding how energy works and the chakras, which you understand really
Mhm.
well, and the work that we do, and Tom does, and Tiger does. Yeah, it's all related to understanding the body on a much deeper awareness, which is really what
Mhm.
we're talking about, awareness, and
Mhm.
then waking up people to that idea is possible. It's not voodoo, it's not woo-woo at all. Back when I was very young and we were talking about psychic, was like, whoa, that's pretty well woo-woo stuff. Now it's easy.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that there's something going on apart from what's logical, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah.
Absolutely. So final word on back full circle to simplicity, Robin. So what is one thing you'd like to leave the listeners with as far as simplifying their life right now where they're at?
Don't be fearful. When you get a diagnosis or you're fearful in life, just take one step at a time. Come back to that simplicity. You know, if you look at an animal that's in the jungle, and there are there at any given moment a bigger animal can come down and swoop on it because it wants to eat it and survive,
Mhm.
then that little animal is sort of like looking around, looking up, looking down, it's scurrying. And so it's aware of something that maybe could hurt it. And so really it's the same with us as human beings. We have a sixth sense that can give us insight into something, you know. Um, Back in my day, I remember dropping a kitchen knife and having the capacity to just move my foot out of the way without even thinking about it. Uh, I thought it was back then, it was my reflexes, I was pretty sharp, but no, it wasn't. It was actually my sixth sense that guided my foot not to get stabbed by this knife that I was dropping. Yeah. And so it is that process when you're in the now, in that moment, and you're taking life one step at a time, and you're not fearful. Okay, I've been given a diagnosis. That's what they say it is. This is my statistics. This is the statistic, but I'm not necessarily a statistic because I'm an individual. You have to have that capacity to say, well, I'm an individual. And then you go, okay, well, one step at a time. What's the best step that I can take? And you may not get it straight away. Okay, I need to talk to people. I need to research. I need to make a few phone calls. I need to reach out to Robin because Robin will talk freely. I do a 30-minute Zoom call to anybody that wants to. And I don't charge anything because I believe it's just about guiding them a little bit. And then if they really want to go into the depth of the work that I do, then we do it from a coaching point of view. And that's usually a 6-month program that I lock people into because, it takes that long to go through the
Mhm.
whole dilemma of recovery. I mean, mine was 4 years. So, yeah,
Right, right. And
yeah,
I know that we'll have all the links down below as to where people can get in touch with you and connect with you. And I
sure.
know you're also in the Gold Coast, but you, like you said earlier in this recording, that you do work with people all over the world. So
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that's the beauty of technology.
Love
That's
it.
the beauty of the adversity of all this technology and everything that's on the planet. We can be scared of Chat GPT and AI, but you
But
know,
it's been a lot of good stuff from it for sure, right? Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And one day that might have a cure for all this, and we no longer have disease. And what else can we do apart from following our spirit and doing what we're freely comfortable doing? Because we don't have to worry about survival anymore. We don't have to worry about
Mhm.
fixing things up. We don't have to worry about that. You know,
Right, right.
it, I mean, it's a blissful life that we could have. The other thing is that we're meant to live to 120.
Mm.
Our telemeters. So I have this idea now that I want to live to 120. Why not?
Mhm.
And the truth of the matter is, if you can survive past 2030, it's very possible that AI will be supporting the body to live to 120.
Mhm.
And we can, recalibrate, regenerate our system. Because the natural default, which is the simple pathway, is to heal ourselves,
Uh-huh.
right? You
Yes.
you you cut your finger and you don't have to think I've got to heal my finger. You just put a band-aid on it to stop infection, and then it heals itself by itself.
Mhm.
And a couple of days later, take the band-aid off and it's all sealed up. Who came along and joined all that skin together? The body did it itself.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so
Mhm.
that's the simple part and the simple realization that our body does have that capacity to
Mhm.
self-heal. Yeah. We just got to
Absolutely.
give it the right support mentally, physically, spiritually, and to a great degree, um, have a sense of purpose. I always come back to sense of purpose because existing is a waste of time as well. Just to exist, and
Mhm.
I'm happy existing, is doesn't really work. I've tried it. I've tried. It doesn't work. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Robin, for coming on today. I so appreciate it. And like I said, I don't do too many interviews these days, but it's refreshing to have someone like you come on and like-minded, soul brother to share with the listeners out
Yeah.
there a different way of healing, especially through the journey of cancer. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah.
And thank
My
you all for
pleasure.
listening to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. Remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.